Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan are set to renew hostilities. I don't think this was Michaela Mayer's first choice for her next fight after having become a champion at another weight.
Running it back with Sandy, I think she would have much preferred to unify, but all the champions are spoken for.
WBO welterweight champion Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan are heading closer to the next installment of their feud. Las Vegas-based Mayer outscored Ryan last September at the theater in Madison Square Garden in New York via a majority decision in a superb contest, but one that was also marred by pre-fight controversy when Ryan was covered in paint by an assailant on her way to the venue. Most suspect that Michaela or one of Michaela's friends had a hand in that.
Because how could anyone have known when Sandy Ryan was leaving that hotel?
There was nothing random about that attack. It seems to me and a lot of other people that it was coordinated. In any event, they are set to renew acquaintances on the West Coast this time, probably in Vegas, at the end of March.
Yeah, the odds. March.
There had been bad blood before the bout last year. Ryan had previously set up camp in Vegas at DLX Boxing, which is where Mayer has been a fixture. Ryan then left, but she kept working with coach Kay Kuroma. It led to ill feelings and verbal exchanges that were commonplace in the build-up to their fight, which Mayer won by margins of 97-93, 96-94, and a third scorecard that had it even at 95-95. Ryan, a 31-year-old from Derby, UK, is now 7-2 with one draw, 3 knockouts, where Mayer is 20-1 with 5 knockouts. Mayer has teased news dropping soon on social media with a message on Instagram. Fight announcement coming soon.
She's 20-2. She lost to Alicia, and she quote-unquote lost to Natasha Jonas.
To win, I think Sandy Ryan has got to knock her out. And the best chance of doing that is going to the body. So I remember in a fight when Sandy was going there. She hurt Michaela, but Michaela's got a great poker face and she's a tough old bird.
A tough broad.
So how do you go to the body on Michaela with some regularity without running the risk of being countered in between, without being caught? Mix in the body shots with the head shots. Keep her guessing.
Easier said than done, but all things are. That's how you gotta do it.
Use your jab and close the distance, stepping into that jab. Let go of maybe 1 or 2 headshots, then finish the combination with a body shot.
Expect the counter.
And you know that Michaela Mayer's got a dog in her. There were a lot of exchanges in that fight between her and Sandy. Lots of opportunities to go back to her body. I don't know why Sandy didn't.
I think Michaela was a little faster and quicker to the draw, so there were more punches coming at Sandy than there were punches coming at Michaela.
Even if Sandy's punches were heavier, stronger than Michaela's, Michaela's durable, and she kept the punches coming. It's not to say that Michaela is dramatically faster than Sandy, but it's enough that she can get her punches out and off a bit faster than Sandy can in tandem with Michaela Mayer's movement. She's got long legs that make for long strides and using the ring. Having shared the ring with each other, they both approach this fight a bit more educated.
Who's gonna use what they learn, though? Who's likelier to do that? I think that's Michaela. Michaela is more adaptable, more malleable than Sandy, and more experienced.
Yeah, they both come from good amateur backgrounds, but Michaela's been in the paid ranks longer than Sandy. She's got more fights than Sandy, more rounds in the bank, and more ways of fighting a fight.
Preliminary thoughts? I think Michaela wins the rematch. It's gonna be tough, just like the first fight was, and I knew that it would be. But I picked Michaela to win then, and I'm picking her to win now. She's a calm, cool customer that saves all her energy and explosiveness for the fight. Whereas Sandy seems a little bit more emotional to me, and it couldn't have helped that she was doused with paint right before the first fight, so she's coming into this rematch with baggage, with a score to settle. She's angry. Not saying that being angry doesn't make her more dangerous, because it does, but it also affects how she fights. She's gonna try to rush Michaela Mayer. Don't need to be Nostradamus to know who's gonna be the aggressor in this one.
Yep.
What do you make of Gervonta in all this picture? Like, can we see him get in the mix with you guys? Like, is that gonna happen?
He just needs to let go of his pride and ego. Just play business, bro. If you really want to fight us, that's how we make it happen.
Have you been seeing his tweets? Do you think he does?
We all want to fight each other. I think so. What happened? We're gonna go over here. But I think overall we're all gonna want to fight each other.
What were your thoughts on him saying that he's going to retire after this year?
I think that's just to keep everybody in the loop. You know, like how we are right now, we're all talking about it. So it's a strategy that I've used. It's a strategy that Fury's using right now. It's a strategy that's always been done, even Mayweather. So I think it's right. They got it. I think it's good, man. But hey, to everybody, stay tuned. We have a great year. Truthfully, we have a great 2025, a big one. Great fights, and even some of us being in the same card. So look forward to that. And to everybody, if you're not following me, follow me at Teofimo Lopez on all my social media platforms. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's make boxing great again.
Thank you, Teo. Thanks.
Too many people are making this about something that it's not. Teofimo says that Gervonta needs to swallow his pride, but this isn't about pride. Because if it were, Gervonta wouldn't have been whining that Turki didn't invite him to his party. It's not about pride, it's about risks.
Gervonta spent his entire career avoiding risks. And now at 30 years old, he doesn't want to take them now.
Teofimo's making this about pride. Timothy Bradley is making this about his independence, that he doesn't want to kiss the rings. It's not about none of that. It's that if you go into business with Turki, he'll pay you. And he'll pay you well. Better than anybody else would. Better than you can pay yourself. But he's not going to match you soft. When you want to make that kind of money, you gotta gamble. And he's not about that life. He never has been.
He's paying attention.
Via his own social media, he's the one who said that these guys are going over there to Saudi and boxing on those shows, and they're losing. He's not wrong. A good number of the American fighters that have participated on Turkey shows have come up short, whether it's Wilder against Parker and Chang,
Raymond Ford against Nick Ball,
Emma Williams against Hamza Shiraz, or Jared Anderson against Martin Bacoli. Gervonta noticed, and he doesn't want to be the next one. He doesn't want to be the next souped-up American fighter that gets exposed by Turkey's cards.
by his aggressive matchmaking.
But this is how you make boxing great again. The risk element, the risk factor, is what draws the audience in. Watching guys at the peak of their powers put it all on the line against each other. That's what draws an audience, and for a long time now, that component was removed. It's only recently that it's made a resurgence.
The last 6 or 7 years. Look at the matchmaking. Look at how it's been. Look at how long it's taken some of these fights to make.
Especially when it involves PBC fighters, where in some instances, fights go stale. Fights become cold product because 1 or 2 guys end up losing before they ever have some of these important fights or significant fights. The risk element has been missing for a while, though it's starting to come back.
And he doesn't want to be a part of that. That's why he's standing against Turkey. It's not about pride and it's not about asserting your independence. It's about avoiding risks. It always has been.
You can't use sides of the street anymore when a bunch of fighters from your side of the street are boxing on his shows. Turkey is removing the borders, the political boundary lines, and the red tape that usually holds up a fight.
No borders.
Don't worry about money because money's not an object, not to him.
And you think Gervonta would be comfortable with an arrangement like that?
In this new boxing landscape, in this brave new world, there's no place for a Gervonta Davis and his philosophy.
He knows that. That's why he's talking about retiring.
Now, Teofimo thinks it's just a strategy to keep people talking, like he did a couple of months ago when he quote-unquote retired. We know that Tyson Fury's done that a good number of times. It's just a way to keep your name out there and keep people talking about you. But that may not be the case. Gervonta may be talking about retiring because he knows he's out of place.
Out of time and out of excuses. For so long, his cowardice was covered up behind the guise of business-minded, business savvy. How does this make business sense?
Leaving all that money on the table at 30 years old. I hate to break the news to you, but Gervonta Davis didn't make so much money from boxing that he can retire comfortably without fear of burning through all his money.
His cash.
You think that every 2-bit kid that comes from a poor neighborhood is a bona fide hustler, but he's not. He ain't got the mind for that. To turn whatever he made into more money? Not that guy.
You better keep fighting.
I said, let's fight. I said, send a contract. We can make. I done said, bro. I'm not even like no delusional nigga. I don't get out there and just say anything. So it's like, I'm not gonna act like I'm the A side or, oh, I deserve 50-50. Yo, bro, let's negotiate. Let's see where it goes from there. I know I'm the B side, but let's fight.
You guys are probably your 2 biggest paydays. It's like top 3 fights in boxing. It has to happen, man.
I think it's, besides Terrence and Canelo, I think besides that, me and Tank is the biggest fight.
We've been waiting on that forever. Don't give us that when y'all 40. I ain't trying to see that shit.
Hey, it's not on me though.
No,
You gotta realize,
you laugh
like,
of it.
no, I'm
I need
not.
you to pull up to the fight.
Half would be if you like the A side.
Okay. All right.
I'm not really the A side right here. Like I'm acceptingly telling y'all I'm the B side. Let's make the fight.
All right,
happen.
so you take care of business. He take care of business. DM him. Get his number. It's easy to happen. Like, I feel like y'all got to say, fuck the promoters.
That was the way that it went with Terrence and Earl, right?
Yeah.
That was a cool way. I would
But
be
Terrence
down
did
with
have to
that.
fight.
Yeah, because Terrence got...
I would be down with
He
that.
had to fight on
But dude
Errol's
got
turf.
like some shit against me. Like he
ain't responded back. He gonna post the text.
I don't know. It's like something like with me is like
It's a
he like I'm telling you,
it's a
it's like
mega
that.
fight.
Yeah.
Like
I would be willing to do that. Like negotiate, talk it out. Let's sit down with each other. I would be willing to do that.
Like men.
I would be willing to do that.
There are enough sound bites and enough interviews out there, enough video evidence of Gervonta Davis talking down the Shakur Stevenson fight like he doesn't need to have that one, but he needs to have this one with Lamont Roach. What may be one of Gervonta Davis's final fights in his career before he hangs the gloves up. Based on what I'm hearing, the walls are closing in on Gervonta in more ways than one. You're noticing the frequency of PBC fighters making appearances on Turkey shows. He's keeping PBC fighters busier than the PBC is. Gee, it's almost like he bought the contracts, or is about to. Word round the campfire is, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, a lot that Gervonta Davis might not like. I think he said that he's got 2 to 3 more fights he wants to do this calendar year before he hangs the gloves up, but I just thought to myself, you don't seem at all receptive to a Shakur Stevenson fight. So then who are you gonna fight in your next fight, or the one after that? I saw Ryan Garcia take to his social media earlier today to say, I'm not surprised at Pitbull pulling out, but we get to fight some dog food in Rolly. Hear what he said? Pitbull pulled out of the fight with him. Could be because the turnaround was too quick. Could be because he's targeting a Gervonta Davis rematch. You know that from the moment he suffered his glorified loss to Gervonta, he was targeting a second fight with him. But alas, he's had no luck. So now that he's not fighting Ryan Garcia on that Ring Magazine show, he becomes an option for Gervonta again. And Gervonta is not above staging a pointless rematch with a guy nobody asked him to fight in the first place. At $80 a pop. And don't put it past him. The caveat is, the streets are talking. Streets are talking and what they're saying. A lot of his buddies are under new management. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just relaying that information to you guys. That's why it's called The Relay. What did you think? I saw Turki LL Sheik recently explain how Riyadh's season will change boxing while citing Floyd Mayweather. He brought him up for a reason. Gervonta Davis's old mentor. He said all the fighters want a similar career to Floyd Mayweather. 0 losses. This can happen one time every 50 to 60 to 70 years, he said. Instead, LL Sheik pointed to Muhammad Ali, who lost 5 times but remains a legendary figure, an iconoclast, a legend. He argued for a model similar to the UFC, where champions can lose and still be celebrated. We must now be normal to have losing some fights in boxing, he stated, emphasizing that losses shouldn't overshadow a fighter's overall legacy. But why should Gervonta Davis be afraid of that? Doesn't that, in essence, work for the fighter and make the fighter's job easier, that you can take on the best fights with the best fighters without fear of losing, that you don't need to be perfect, your record doesn't need to be perfect? Why would Gervonta be afraid of that? Because some fighters can recover from a loss and some can't. After Wilder lost to Tyson Fury, was he really ever the same after that? Is Errol after losing to Terrence Crawford? What do you think happens to Gervonta Davis if, say, Shakur Stevenson were to beat him, expose him? I saw Boxing Insider Rick Lacia say, boxing is changing very quickly with the influence and wherewithal of Turki LL Sheik, including but not limited to buying the Ring Magazine, buying into DAZN, a 10% stake, drastically lowering pay-per-view prices for his events, and putting on the biggest and most desirable fights that boxing was unable to do prior to his involvement, like Better B versus Bivol 1 and 2, the 2 Usyk and Fury fights. Now coming together is Canelo versus Crawford for September. Al Heyman and PBC are now at an impasse, and this is just the beginning of Turki LL Sheik's influence, and boxing will be better for it. A lot better.
But will Gervonta and any other fighter like him?
Oh, I do question what a fighter like, say, David Benavidez is going to do should he beat David Morrell next month, because we know what Turki would like to do after that. He'd like to put him in the ring with the winner of Better Beef versus Bivol.
Aggressive matchmaking.
One of the few remaining stars, quote-unquote stars, in the PBC roster, right there with Gervonta.
But David Benavidez ain't the one talking about retiring this year. Gervonta is.
This is the way it was before the Mayweather era. Guys didn't sit around in a barbershop talking about some guy's unbeaten record or how much money he makes. We really didn't do that in those days. The Mayweather era ushered in these practices that you now see, mostly because it was Floyd. It was Floyd that was obsessed with Rocky Marciano's unbeaten record and surpassing it.
His fans parakeeted that sentiment.
Carried it over into the next era of boxing, and some fighters as well, risk-averse fighters like Gervonta, who want to stay unbeaten so that the mythos, their abilities can be right up there with Floyd's, even if they didn't test themselves as much as Floyd did, because for all Floyd's faults, he did fight most of the somebodies in his era.
There are some hang-ups as to when he fought those somebodies, but still, he fought most of them, whereas Gervonta,
he hasn't. He just hasn't. He didn't unify titles with anybody, didn't unify with anybody at 130, 135, or 140. He was never Ring Magazine or lineal champion at any of those weights. He just serves you up this slop and expects you to eat it.
But didn't he just try to unify titles with Vasily Lomachenko?
Yeah, after avoiding him for 6 or 7 years, waiting good up until Vasily Lomachenko starts talking about retiring to now pursue a fight with him.
It's very obvious what you're doing, and most people don't respect it, save a vocal minority that doesn't seem to spend any money anyway.
With supporters like those, who needs enemies? I mean, if you're not going to spend any money, is it really support? It's not a bad thing that Gervonta Davis is talking about retiring. It's not a bad thing that they may be pushing him out of the sport and the way it is now, because there is no place for a Gervonta Davis in this new boxing landscape. This brave new world.
He ain't built for it.